Hi guys, it's me again, Laura at Sheer Passion. I'm really excited because I'm doing a couple extra videos this week. So I also am starting a new idea called The Chair at the salon, where I am going to be talking to people like I do every day and just allowing improv, whatever they bring in, sit down with. Not only am I going to do their services, but we're also going to work on the inside. So I'm very excited for that. But I wanted to come on here and talk about a really cool subject. I think it's everything really. Addictions. Um, we call addictions like drugs, sex, alcohol, cell phones, work, sugar. All these things are addictions because we can't take them out of our life. Abuse. People are addicted to control, hurting other people. Um, what is like? Why is that such an issue in our culture? And I ask people all the time in the salon chair, if there is no God, what are we fighting against? I want to know why we're not all blissful. I want to know why we're not all smart. I want to know why we're not all absolutely beautiful. I want to know why we're not all rich. And how comes, if this is the only life that we have, that we're not capable of constantly evolving into smarter, brighter human beings who don't have to work, who don't feel let down, disappointed, angry, volatile? Why are all these things keeping us back? What are we fighting against if there is no spiritual warfare? What are addictions and why are they here? I figured it out a long time ago. It's not that easy to take an addiction out of your life. Mine was food. I told you that before. Mine was food, controlling what I looked like, what I ate, because no one in the home had self-confidence. No one actually sees that the better Laura that I am when I leave this house, everyone outside that door gets me being good, trying to understand myself. That doesn't mean that I'll have everything perfect, but it definitely means that I'll know the ins and outs of my personality, which will give me the opportunity to be the best Laura. Since I wasn't seeing that, food also was when things were negative or stressful. I went to food. We had to eat at least 3 times a day. And then there's those other 3 times in between those 3 times that you're also hungry. 6 times a day that you want to eat something. So why were we not dealing with it? Well, because we don't love ourselves. We don't know how. We don't know how to see the value in stopping everything that's crazy and out of control, taking over our lives, and sitting down with it and expecting it not to own us. Where are our brains? Seriously, where are our brains in that moment? Why are we not capable of stopping the shopping on the weekends and paying our debt off? Why do we live in a debt-ridden society? Why is it people aren't saying, no, this is painful. This keeps us from getting ahead. Because we think we are something when we buy things. We think we are something when we have a great new car, or a great new outfit, a great new sweater, a great new hairdo. What are we without those things? I love to buy really great clothes and to look nice. I love to have my hair done just like the next person. I love to have my jewelry on. But the problem is, who are we when we strip down? Food is something I couldn't beat completely. I had to monitor it. That's why it's so wretched. I had to monitor it. I couldn't get rid of it. Cigarettes, heroin, cocaine, LSD, marijuana, these things are stuff that never needs to enter into our lives. We don't need it to live. And it's so hard to beat. That's because everything is in place of our walk with God. I'm not trying to push God on people, but you have to understand the purpose of having faith. It wasn't so that you were stupid. It wasn't so that you were uncool. It wasn't so that you would be mocked and made fun of. It was so that you could understand, where are you going to draw your source of love from if you have no love? When you were born into this society, where did love come from? The people that you came from? Not everyone's going to be able to claim that. Where does love come from? God is love. He states that in his word. He states that directly in the Bible. Therefore, we pull our source from him. And we can't have self-love just because somebody loved us. They were sharing their love, but then we grow up and we become adults and we are then supposed to share our love forward. How do we do that if we don't generate our own value? if we don't accept what God has made in us. Addictions are always coming in because the person doesn't see the absolute respect for self. I talked about this before. The world is not going to change until each individual person recognizes the self-love that will maintain a family, will maintain a community, will maintain a neighborhood. It will change the world. Now, when I was trying to beat food addictions, I went to counseling. I talked about sitting down on the couch and talking to her and asking her, why am I incapable of making these decisions? Because you have to get to the root of the issue. What are you struggling with? I was struggling with being ugly. I was struggling with being overweight. I was struggling with not being enough. I was struggling with being unpopular. And I've always had this desire and want to speak, and I'm not surrounded with a lot of people who want to speak about things, especially because I'm a woman. So I wasn't surrounded by everyone who wants to sit and think deeply. That bothered me. I didn't really have that outlet. I graduated high school at 17 years old. I was a baby. And then I went off to beauty school. I moved out shortly after that. So every time I was taking a step forward, I was recognizing that there are so many things that people do not do that become addictions. Why can't we beat them? Because we don't want to recognize the evil that we fight against. Every time I have run into somebody from high school that I have seen or haven't seen for 16 years, they tell me about the things that they're dealing with: addictions with food, issues with relationships, control issues, job issues, self-image issues, drug issues, alcohol issues. This is unbelievable to me. So 16 years after we graduated, they're talking about these things that have taken over their lives. So many guys out there, I'm so proud of you, have beat the drug addiction. They realized that it was something that was keeping them down and didn't want to let go. Absolutely. It is. It's in place of Jesus. Everything out here is literally in place of God. It is a pleasure issue. Food on the tongue and the stomach gives a reaction in the brain as if there's a high. Sex, orgasms, and control is a reaction in the brain, gives you a high. Drugs into the body, into the bloodstream, gives the body a reaction of a high. When you're shopping and you're controlling and you're buying and you're seeing and you're taking and you're demanding and you're wanting, when you have that in your cart and you take that home and you're hoarding it for yourself, something goes off in the brain. You feel better. What happens after all of these things? What happens after each addiction that we keep in our lives? Anxiety and depression. So go back to when I told you out of beauty school, I was trying everything from counting my calories, using no-dose pills to go to the gym and stay awake for 2 hours to be on the treadmill, because I figured if I watched the calories burn and I knew how many calories I took in, I would lose that much weight, because then I wouldn't have that issue. Crazy the stuff that goes through a 19-year-old's mind. So it worked mathematically, but I did not understand what it was going to do emotionally to me, that I was never enough, that I knew my body couldn't generate that energy on its own. I had to get the no-dose pills that the truckers used to stay awake on the highway. And I realized then what happened when I was tired, I'd also be cold. And when I was awake, I'd be angry. So you're constantly switching things on and off in the body. It's like I could control what my body weighed, but then I couldn't control how I was feeling. Even though I appeared to be thinner than I was yesterday, I wasn't happy about it. And how I was like, well, I can be better, and I should have burned more calories yesterday, and I'm fat, and my thighs rub together, and I'm never going to be enough. And I kept telling myself, I would sit with myself and go, this is not God's intention. This is not God's intention for life. This can't be. I see myself sitting there so miserable, so honest and so raw, and yet I'm not catching her. I'm not getting better. What's the issue? What is the issue? No woman is ever going to be 100% loving the size of her thighs. But what we can say is, I see it. I'm aware of it. I'm working on it. As long as I'm healthy, telling you that I don't always like the way my thighs look is an honest thing, and I can be free from whatever you think about them. They're mine. And I think everyone out there understands what I'm saying. We need to get to the root of the issue. And so when I was facing food addiction and I wasn't facing it in a healthy way, I replaced it with a new addiction. Now I was controlling things because it wasn't about relying on God. It wasn't about taking each day as a new day and allowing time to create new habits of that thin woman that I wanted to be. Instead of choosing wisely and choosing what a thin woman would choose on a daily basis, I was constantly on this roller coaster. Folks, it's only fun if it's at a theme park. If your everyday life is a roller coaster, get off the ride, unhook yourself, jump out. Take that risk. Scream to the guy to stop the ride. You're never going to get out of it. It isn't fun if your everyday life is a roller coaster. Depression and anxiety come in. So now when you leave the house, you walk out that door and you go out to where people are. Oh, you have your addiction. And some of us are really good at hiding it. So you don't always get to see. I mean, you don't show everybody your checkbook and how you shopped all weekend and you used all your money, your husband's money, your cousin's money, and your money from next year. No one knows your wallet's broke. No one knows it's smoking. You're just putting on a great face. How about the people who are constantly dealing with bulimia or anorexia? In the beginning, you can't catch those girls right away. There's something wrong though. They just don't want to talk to you. They don't want to be honest. How about the people who are drunk all the time or high all the time when you catch them on an off day where they've run out of alcohol or they are not currently on a high because they ran out of drugs? And you're wondering, what the heck is wrong with them today? Why are they acting so weird? Well, because they're not in that steady addiction. They feel their nerve. They recognize it. So now you have anxiety and depression that lead. Now you're leading with something else. So your addiction causes new issues in your life where you can't operate naturally. It doesn't matter how many times you walk through the door of a church. It doesn't matter how many times you read God's word. If you choose not to accept it, it won't make a change. That's the hardest part to teach people how to do. You just have to accept it. And if you won't accept it, you can't actually make a change. I talked about this on my video yesterday. Being specific does not mean that just because somebody knows the juicy details and ins and out of your addictions, will they change? I could speak about my food addiction all day long. How long did it take me to understand that controlling what I was doing was wrong? I had seen doctors to make sure I was healthy. I was. I used no-dose pills for a year to keep my heart rate up so that I wasn't tired on that treadmill. And I realized that's dumb. I want my body to do natural things. I wanted my body to get on the treadmill and do natural things. Why was I having an issue? Well, there's a deeper issue with the food. When we eat, we change the outside of our body structure, and then we see that. And I was trying to find where I felt healthy and I felt beautiful and I felt like I could shine through. I felt like it was me. When you look at me, I feel like you see Laura now. When I look in the mirror, do I want to change things about my body? Yes. Yes, I've talked about duct taping things tight all the time. Well, but I also understand this is who I am. This is who I am. And I joke about wanting to be better and to be younger, but I feel like when you look at me, this is who I am, and I can accept that. There are going to be flaws. So what? Get in line. But being aware of what we want to change, I don't think is always the issue. I think it's when we lie and when we act like everything's okay when it isn't okay. I have seen so many people get addicted to not only food, going to church, the addiction of going to church, because it feels like it's right. It should be right. It's a good place. It's a godly place. Those things are only true if the people inside the building are serving Jesus Christ. And so I've seen what happens. I've seen what happens when we say we're going to do something. Remember, I was still going to church when I had my food addiction. In those years, I was still going to church every Sunday and sitting down and looking forward to the worship songs. I can sing. I love to sing. I like to hear harmony. That's wonderful. Anybody in church, Protestant churches who go and worship God, and our hymnals were becoming a little bit more modern. So it was wonderful to sing. Who doesn't like that? You get an opportunity to dress up. You march in and everybody gets to see your cute outfit. At least 3 or 4 women would come over and be like, Laura, I don't even know how you figure out your outfits. And it's so great to hear that. We love that. It's called fellowship. We love fellowship. But I was there with the food addictions. I was there trying to beat that. I was there going, we're 1 hour away from needing to eat lunch, and I have to deal with that. And I'm surrounded by people who don't deal with it. So I'm literally on that little island by myself, even though in an hour we're all going to face eating. So like I needed more drama, right? You know, in an hour, everybody needs to eat, but I feel like I'm the only person figuring out but every time we do, something goes wrong. We're unhealthy. We're unhappy. We're miserable. We're huge. It drove me insane. And so I really liked control. I like a structured, controlled environment. I can't stand drama, even though I'm a very dramatic personality. I recognize that. I do recognize how I can almost be like, how's that possible, Laura? You are the sense of drama. No, I like to relate to you. I like to share and I like to relate to you. But I hate drama. I want to tell you about the drama that I've lived through so that we can understand why is there a purpose to this life. There are seasons of our life. I'd be the first person to step into a fight if someone was getting hurt, but I don't like it. And when we're dealing with addictions, how do you face them? How do you think you're going to face them? You were the same person who got your butt locked up in that addiction on the steps of life, your journey, where you were younger yesterday than you are today. And how do you plan on fixing that addiction if you won't face it? Well, first of all, you got to go back to your childhood. I told you mine happened in my childhood. That's not to put down the family tree. That's to accept the truth. If we can't accept the truths, we can't fix anything. I told you I've had crackheads. I've had heroin addicts. I've had LSD addicts. I've had sex addicts that sit in my chair. And we talk about these things. And I say, well, you're addicted to the high. You're addicted to the high that you're supposed to get from Jesus Christ. We live in a fallen world. You're constantly looking for that high so that you don't have to be in your everyday. And to be honest with you, their everydays weren't really that bad. Why did they not have coping mechanisms? Why are they incapable of dealing with the littlest amount of stress? I mean, we're not talking about being in a Muslim country and being beaten. We're not talking about being sold into sex slavery. We're talking about civilization, neighborhoods, lives, schools, gym, band practice, graduation, college. We're talking about the normal stuff. Why are these people incapable of dealing with it? It goes back to their childhood. Read the books. Read the psychology. Go to the counselors. Ask the questions. See for it yourself. It always goes back to our childhood. When we are not in a loving environment, an open, honest, loving environment, if we are not capable of figuring out right from wrong, if things are deceived, if there's control, power, because I said so, go do this, go do that, there needs to be an environment where people can develop. And sometimes parents aren't capable of doing that. I know many people whose parents were incapable of doing that. And then it leads them into the crowd that pays the most attention. You ever notice that it's rarely the church crowd? It's rarely the church crowd. It's the crowd that pays the most attention. So you've got the male or female who's needing sex. Get in line. We're sexual beings. That's going to come up. Sex is something that you're not going to get rid of, just like food. You are a sexual being. You're going to have sexual desires. You're going to want to be desired. You're not going to understand why your body wants things, and yet you're going to then deal with shame, just like food. You're going to need to monitor food. You're going to need to be a part of food, and it's going to be a part of your life. Those two are huge addictions that you must deal with. And it can be so overwhelming because you can never get rid of it. Such compassion for people who are dealing with that. The devil gets in and uses the things that he knows will just drive a wedge deep. And some of those things, like I said, you don't always catch. You don't always catch. Drugs are a major issue in our culture, and it's not just marijuana. It's not just heroin. It's not just cocaine. It's pharmaceutical drugs, drugs that people are capable of popping in their mouth and they think it's okay. More people have drug addiction through pills than ever before. Why? Because we don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel pressure. We don't want to feel awareness. We don't want to feel nagging, stabbing, throbbing. Those things just eat at you. And so people pop the pills and they feel good. Absolutely. It works. Yes. How do we get over these things? What happens if you don't want to choose Jesus? What happens if you don't want to recognize that he knew these things were going to get into society and people would use them to take them down? I've asked all of my friends who have been open and honest with me about their drug addiction, did AA send you to church? And they just kind of look at you and go, yep. And I go, okay, why is that? So not only do you go to a class and you relate to somebody and you have to do it weekly, just like church, you have to do it weekly, and you have to sit there and you have to fellowship with other people who are in the same position you are, and you go to church. You tell me how AA is not church. You tell me how AA is not doing church every week. Because that's what I've been talking about. It helps those people to be honest of where they're at. And yet when they walk out that door, they still have to integrate into society. And some of you might not even know what their addictions are. Some of you might not know your coworker deals with sex addiction. He might not share that with you. I'll know. I'll know. If I'm sitting by him in the cubicle, Stan, you know you're doing nasty things every day. Knock that crap off. Throwing the little like airplanes. Thank goodness I'm not in an office environment. I'd be in trouble for talking. But isn't that amazing how they get to sit there in that circle and they deal with the addiction? They have to talk about it. Why? Because you have to hear it. You have to hear it from your own mouth to your ears. That's why it's so important to say, I am addicted to food. I need to stop. I need to love myself. I need to pay attention. I need to be better. I can be better. I can stop this. I can choose good foods. Those are amazing things to say. They're not that hard to say. Why can't people say those things? Because they don't really love themselves. How do addictions get in? Because you don't see the value of staying consistent. When you start to love yourself because God has made you with, He formed you. You're important. You're valuable. Everybody out here, we're not in competition. We're not in competition. We're out here to benefit one another and bring something to the table. We're not competing with the other people that are around the table. We're bringing to combine with people. We're not taking away. It's not you or me. It's together. We can do these things. Addictions get in because there isn't community. And how can there be community if we don't love ourselves? What the heck are you bringing to the table? I want to know. Because if it's all lies and deceit, don't pull up a chair at my table. It's going to do no good. I tell people all the time at the salon, I would do much better if the serial killer tells me, hi, I'm a serial killer. Great. I will make sure I don't leave any public place with you at all. I will not be traveling to the bathroom by myself. And I get people who go, I don't understand why you say that. Because you don't get that him keeping that from you only allows him to get you in a place where, or you get in a place with him that allows you to be taken. Yeah. And so if I know who he is and I know his dark secret in that moment, I still have to accept him. I still have to decide what I'm going to do. But now I know what his issue is. Now I know what his control factor is. I can make a better decision for myself. Had he not told me, he's still a serial killer. That's what everybody does not understand. When he did tell you, who did he benefit? He was only trying to benefit you. He wasn't benefiting himself so much. He knows he's a serial killer. He can help you if you choose to love yourself, because then you in that moment are not judging that man. You're making a decision for yourself because you're part of a community. How do you keep yourself healthy and safe? Well, if you know everybody's junk, like I said before, specifics are great if you're going to use them in the right way. If you are mature, it isn't to sell on eBay. It isn't to tell your person that sits in the cubicle with you at work, or it isn't to get on Facebook and stalk people with pictures and see if those rumors are true. It's to say, okay, that person is going through something. I can relate to that. I have been there. I have done that. First of all, the first thing I would say to somebody that likes to control serial killing is that he was abused as a child. And there are things that happened to him in his childhood that should have never happened. So in that moment, I would have compassion for him. A lot of people have a hard time with that. A lot of people could not go into a room of serial killers and talk to them about Jesus. I didn't say it would be easy to do, but if somebody said, Laura, could you go talk to a group of serial killers about the Lord? You're darn right I could. We already know where those people have come from. Abuse, sick, disgusting, twisted abuse. What, you can't have compassion for 5 minutes for another person? I didn't say I needed to see all their victims. I didn't say I wanted to be their next victim. I said I could go have compassion for somebody who has an issue and has a control factor based on abuse, that they do something and they take it out on others. If we can't get there, what good are we? Even to recognize that you wouldn't be able to do that is a start. That's how you deal with everything in your life. It's not running from it. It's dealing with it. Addictions are the same way. You can run. You can hide. For how long? For how long before it destroys you? The addiction itself does not stay the addiction. It then turns into anxiety or depression, which will cause you to do other things. Eating itself is very expensive, and it'll tear down your body. You'll either buy more clothes, you'll be buying pain meds, you'll be buying headache medication, you'll be, if you're bulimic, you're throwing it back up, you're purging, so you're constantly hungry, you'll be spending twice as much money. When are you working? When are you going to work? And how do you go to parties and purge? I mean, this is what you have to understand. So, and how does somebody who's anorexic go to parties for any length of time before somebody picks up on the fact that they're not eating? So then they shy away. So as these addictions get in, people start to recognize it. It breaks down community. So people who have eating disorders are shying away from public places of parties. And then people who do drugs or do alcohol and become alcoholics and become drug addicts have to spend time with like-minded people. So the addictions don't allow community. The addictions break down community. And the communities that you would have to spend time with that would allow you to be normal and not to be like, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing all that, are places that will take your money, take your value, take your self-love, and shove it down the toilet. And see, that's the problem. Society doesn't want to deal with things right now. Society doesn't want to deal with our debt. Society doesn't want to deal with our addictions. Society doesn't want to deal with our control, like sex trafficking, pedophilia, pornography. Doesn't want to deal with any of these things. That's because they have nothing to do with Jesus. They have everything to do with what the devil has planned for this culture to take us down. One person at a time who cannot look at themselves in the mirror and say that I am valuable. I, Laura, am valuable to this community. And I'm going to do everything in my power to stay healthy and to stay controlled. So what did I do? First of all, I asked God for forgiveness. Second of all, I went and got counseling. And last, very painfully, I forgave myself. If you cannot look in the mirror and say, I am sorry for taking you down that road. I am sorry for constantly putting that food into my body and trying to hurt myself. Why? Because you can't stand still long enough to understand that self-love, when it finally gets in to the core of who you are, you will stop lashing out. You will live minute by minute, day by day, month by month, year by year, being the person that you want to be. I want to be the thin, healthy woman, the slim, healthy woman, the fit, healthy woman. I want to be somebody that can give her best. So what do I choose? Even when I'm tired, I choose to go to the store and buy good food. I choose to eat good food at night. I choose to eat a little bit and walk away. And I choose to drink a lot of water. And if I make a mistake, I just let that go. I obviously needed it. We had cookies the other day. Organic, non-GMO, wonderful, wonderful cookies. We absolutely did eat them. They were great. And we loved it. And I didn't put on 10 pounds the next day. No, because it was for a moment. It's not every night. And this is what my husband and I do. It's not that easy. It is not that easy. And more people are sitting in the chair. They're gaining weight. They're acquiring debt. They can't look at themselves in the mirror. They don't do their hair. They don't do their nails. They don't wear makeup. They don't buy jewelry. I've noticed this with women, that they don't want to appear to be happy and to be put together because they don't know what they're doing it for. Yourself. You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for him. He's with you because he likes how you take care of yourself. You saw some value in yourself, and that shone through, and somebody said, I want to build on that. I want that to be around me so it can build on me. Those are how relationships work. You cannot step out that door. You can't face anything, any addiction at all, until you recognize what it does to the self-love of this culture. And people need to stop thinking about vanity. It's not vanity. I'm not sitting here looking like RuPaul. It's absolutely necessary for people to look in the mirror and to understand that valuing everything from your teeth, your skin, your hair, your clothing, your thoughts, your food, your water, your sleep, those are things that require you to be one of the best human beings so that when you go out that door, you can relate to people. And when you have had a bad day, you share it with others so that they can relate to you and go, yeah, I've been there. I've done that. How long are you going to do that? Well, I don't know. I got a couple more years. Well, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see what you're going to look like in this hell you live in every day, a couple more years down the road. Don't stay in anything too long because of the money. Money? What has money done in this culture yet? I told you, trillions, over $13 trillion deficit in this society. Money has done nothing. It has not made us happy. Why are you in that job? Why do you have those things? Sell those things. They're not making you happy. They own you. What are we when we strip everything away? Take all this stuff away. Take all of it away. Who am I? Take the jewelry off. Take the clothing off. Who am I? In the natural state, the naked state. Laura. Not blue hair color, just my natural color. Who am I? No lip gloss. No lip gloss. No electric toothbrush. Gosh, I love that thing. Who are you when you take everything away? I am daughter of the Most High King Jesus Christ. He created me and I have value. I have value long before I'm a hairstylist, long before I put my jewelry on. You have to understand that he loves us and he wants a relationship with us. But until we want to recognize that, we have no standard to go back to. The world is going to hand you something else in place of the addiction that you get rid of. You will pick a new one because nothing out here for very long keeps a person happy. I think it's amazing what we can do when we decide that we're going to love ourselves. How do you do that? You have to go to the source of love. That is God, who sent his son. If you choose not to face that, you'll be running forever. There isn't going to be anything down here on this planet, including a perfect wife, perfect husband, perfect job, perfect amount of money in your checking account, perfect car, perfect dog, perfect gym. It doesn't happen. You're going to be living in a society where if everybody's not thinking that way, how are you going to stay in that perfect bubble? That's a huge risk once you walk out that door, because everybody out there is going to have to believe the same way you do, and they don't. So, good luck. Even people who all believe in Jesus don't see the need to take care of themselves. Oh, I love the Lord. Yeah, you wrecked your body. You've wrecked your whole lineage, and you love Jesus. What happened to love and self? He made everyone in this tree valuable. What happened to us dealing with the fact that as human beings down here in a human being like realm, that we need to act like human beings and be smart human beings. And we need to use our brains. I love how people are like, well, I love Jesus, but, well, we've had 3 bankruptcies now. Yeah, you're drinking purple Kool-Aid and you need to put the cup down because you're an idiot. You don't love yourself. You don't love Jesus. Those are just things you say. Those are just things you say. How about, I love Jesus. I have no idea what I am doing down here. Oh, you didn't get any help? Oh, you didn't get any accountability. You didn't go to counseling. You didn't tell anybody about your issue. You didn't tell anybody about the bankruptcies except the people who came in and were like, dude, you're bankrupt. Boom. Here's your bankruptcy ticket. You have to tell somebody. You have to actually share it. You have to be accountable to something. How are you going to change any addiction? How are you going to change any issue if you don't go tell anybody about it and then be accountable to that new person? You yourself took your buns, got addicted to something, someone, something, however, and now you want to just act like it's not there and somehow it'll just poof itself into oblivion. Wow. I hope our president doesn't do any of that. That's not going to work on any issue or reform. You can't. You have to have accountability. Why can't you go to somewhere and talk to somebody about the addiction? Get a second opinion. Because when you get in your car, Pay your $50 to $100 an hour, get the second opinion, and then decide, do you want to go down that road? Because when you're driving away in your little vehicle, nothing's changed. You might be pulling into the first McDonald's you see. Nothing's changed. You absolutely have to decide how you're going to change, how you're going to beat that addiction. And what happens if you fall off? What happens when I would eat 2 pizzas because I was like, I'm tired of counting calories. I'm so hungry and I love pizza. What would happen if I'd eat 2 pizzas? Yes, they're the individual ones, but you're just constantly eating things that I don't need to be putting in my body. Why was I doing that? Why was I doing that? Because I was so angry that I would not be able to stop thinking about food, that I would then just give into the addiction. That's stupid. That's anger. I'm taking anger back out on myself. Instead of just being patient and recognizing it takes a little while to work through addictions. You're not going to change it overnight. Learning to love yourself doesn't mean that I can go over to that mirror and go, Lara, you're awesome. I love you. You're great. You're wonderful. You're cool. Yeah, you're nice. And that's not how it works. It's a journey. It takes one day at a time. I still check in. It's easier now. It's been 17 years. Now it's really easy to say, no, I don't need that. I'll take water. Somebody's like, oh, Lara, come on. And I go, no, I don't need that. You might need that. I don't need that. You might want to ask why I'm not eating it. I've seen how people are miserable out there. There's a whole lot to what's in our food. There's a whole lot to what you're drinking. If you can't be this happy and you can't be this honest with yourself, ask yourself why. The devil was going to be much more sly in our culture than knocking on the front door, little red horns and a pitchfork. I'm here to see so-and-so. Atheists wouldn't open that door. Christians aren't going to open that door. He's going to slip into society so carefully, so slyly, down to what's in our food, to help this brain tell us we're not enough. We haven't been satisfied with food. We need more. We're tired. We need caffeine. You need a Diet Coke. Yeah, because Diet Coke has 0 calories, but everybody who drinks it is miserably overweight. Thank you, Diet Coke. Thank you. Yeah. People are actually packing on the pounds with a 0-calorie drink. Go figure. Because we're tired. Because we're dragging our chubby butts everywhere. We don't want to face it. It's literally right in front of our face, and we don't want to face it. We have so many addictions in our culture. People do so many things because they put everything in place of God. Do I sit like a weird pocket protector person beating people over the head with Genesis to Revelations throughout the day? No. You do not need to be a weirdo to love Jesus Christ. You do not need to be tithing on the hour weekly to love Jesus Christ. You do not need to be in like 60 different countries and helping every homeless person you see to love Jesus Christ. You don't have to be a martyr for the cause. You have to be realistic. Your journey might look a little bit different. Oh, Lara, you talk a lot about Jesus. I'm so confused now. I don't know. You say it's well, you can go to church, but then you don't have to. And you have these addictions, but everybody has addictions. And yes, you need to start using your head. The Bible was written and places were made to talk about Jesus, to talk specifically about life and following the Lord. But those were fellowships. And church has become this thing that people do while they're not honest with themselves, that they do not have a relationship with this man, Jesus Christ, that is coming back to get us. They're not honest. So when they're there on Sunday mornings, is it making a heart change to leave? Until we get here and we hear it with our own mouth, what we need to be doing to be building relationships. First, we have to love self, and we have to accept that love from Jesus so that we can love others. And then we have to face the things in our lives that are set in front of God, that have become addictions in our life. It can be so many different things. Workaholics are addictions. Oh, Lara, we're not in debt. I pay all of my bills. How much do you work? How much do you work? Do you have any time for yourself and your family? I don't know. I can't answer those questions for you. But we can find things in people's lives where we put that issue in front of God. Food happened to be mine, and being enough. I've gotten to that place, but it was a journey, and it was painful at times, and I slid back, and I fell into bad habits. I recognized going through my divorce was probably the most painful thing I have ever gone through, and yet the day that I was brushing my teeth, and I realized, I'm not going to food. I'm going to prayer. Oh my gosh. I beat my addiction. If I was ever going to go back to food, I would have done it then at the age of 27, 28, when I'm facing a divorce and I'm facing this small town, this sheltered, closed-minded small town that had no compassion, that had no empathy, no realistic capability of dealing with this. I was dealing with it better than the people around me. And I said, oh my word, I'm crying out to the Lord and I'm asking him, reveal to me the red flags that I chose to ignore in the beginning because I'm smarter than this. Same red flags that caused me to eat, same issues, same drama, different coat, different outfit, different cloak. Okay, I get it, Lord. We need to work on this. We need to go back to counseling. We need to work on this. And so I was like, this crazy coot. He's divorcing me, but he has no idea. High-fiving myself in the mirror in the morning. I'm like, high-five it out, Laura. You're not choosing food. I was like, yes, I did it. I don't even think of food when I'm angry now. I love to sit and talk it out with God. I love to sit in my quiet time and go, okay, I need to hash this stuff out. It has nothing to do with food. It was amazing. And I know others can get there. And others have shared with me that they've gotten there. It's been absolutely fabulous. I love it. I love how my drug addiction friends are like, Laura, I'm still sober. Yeah, I know. Yep, absolutely. And I'm still not eating 2 pizzas a day. So we fist bump it out, yay for not doing weird things to our bodies. We're all out there dealing with something. But I love how they have to tell me, well, I still am like not doing bad things. Good for you. That's awesome. Why do you always have to check in? Well, you have to tell everybody everything. Hey, I love you. You are like the coolest group ever. You make everybody put their stuff out there. You make everybody say it out loud. You make everybody tell everybody about their drama. And everybody's like, oh, good for you. Yeah, absolutely. You're facing that. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, well, the rest of us out here need to be in like AA for everyday life. That's absolutely correct. I need to join a club for AA everyday life. Everybody sit there and be like, oh, I'm so miserable being a wife. Oh, I'm so miserable being a mother. Oh, I have to work my life away. We can never get ahead on the bills. Well, how much do you spend on the weekend? How much are you spending? Watching Modern Family and watching everything they have on there thinking you can afford that. It's Hollywood. Live on that television. That'd be great if we could start a new AA for everyday life. Somebody could just plop in and go, I hate it. I hate vacuuming. I hate doing laundry every day. Well, does anybody else in the house have responsibility, or are you Superwoman? Are you teaching kids how to vacuum? Are you teaching kids how to do laundry? Or are you doing it all yourself because you're just so amazing and so wonderful? And in the days of Noah, of course the women had to act like that. Don't be foolish. Don't be foolish. We all need boundaries. There are some addictions in men and women being husbands and wives, where they never draw the boundary on what they can or can't do. That's an issue, folks. That's a control issue. That's I need to do everything so you can bitch 24 hours a day issue. Yes. See what I mean? No one would send that woman to AA. She's like the 60 other women on the block. Maybe they should start an AA for dumb wives. People who think that doing everything all the time without ever drawing a boundary line to say, I'm not Superwoman, I'm a human woman, I can't do all of those things, is called an addiction. No, just the crackheads. No, just the sex addicts. No, but the idiots who want to call themselves, oh, I just do everything and I never have time for myself. I'm sorry, do you want to find the little leprechaun that has your life? Take him out and get your life back? Because if you're not ruling it and you're not in control of it, then just go find the little midget who is. I love midgets. That's not to down midgets. But, some little thing running around who has your life. Go get it. You're in control of your life. You're complaining and you're Oh, I just never have time for myself. You need some help. Who rules you? Why do you not love yourself enough to say, I can't do this, or I just have to stop? There are some nights where I just tell my husband, honey, I've got no energy left. I got nothing. I'm barely going to get through dinner, and I really need to have an appointment with my pillow. And he just smiles at me. He's like, you gave it your all today. And I go, I gave it. Yeah, I took some energy from tomorrow. So we're like, I'm needing sleep right now. I'm just open with him all the time. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to be a little bit relaxed on wife duties tonight because I'm so tired. So I just explained that to him. Boy, is he ever gracious. Is he ever awesome. I'm tired of trying to be superwoman. How about we can be super when we accept that we are women? We have boundaries. We have a breaking point. We have firewalls. Don't continue to hit those things or you'll cause new addictions. You'll cause new control issues. Face everything on a daily basis and do it because God says we have value. Don't shy away from that crap. There's not one person out that door that's got all their ducks lined up that gets is a front row to Jesus when Judgment Day comes. No one out there is any more valuable than you. They're going to spend their time differently. I don't know how wonderful they are for the community. I don't know how God is using them. You have to answer that for yourself. I want to be available. I want him to choose me. Not because I've got so many perfect white pearly boards of here's the seasons of Laura's life. She was so perfect. Who relates to that crap? I want to know who relates to people being a perfect Christian. Are you like the biggest fool I've ever heard of in my life? How about you're a Christian because you recognize you need a savior and that your boards are black as coal? And you take them out to people and you go, board is pretty black. But God loves me and he forgave me for those things. And I asked for forgiveness. Who relates to people who have it all together? I don't. I don't relate to those people. I go, yeah, I don't think so. I think there's that's actually an issue right there. Yep, I'm gonna call you out. That actually is an issue. So I told you before, I'm as black as they come. I want to be available to tell people about that so they understand they need a savior. Oh, so we're supposed to wait for all the perfect people to love Jesus? Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. How about we love Jesus because he has said that he sent his son and that anyone can choose him? How about we use our junk to relate to people who've got junk? And we tell them about Jesus. And we let them choose for themselves. I think that would change the world. All right, that's enough out of me. I got to eat. I smell some wonderful food. And I have a handsome husband waiting for me in the kitchen. All right, till next time. Laura at Sheer Passion. SheerPassion. See you soon.